All right, everyone. Welcome to episode 9 of the How Are the Hops podcast. I'm Chris from How Are the Beers, and as always, joined by David and Alex from the Hop Guys on Instagram. Today, we're joined by James from Overtone Brewing. So, before we get cracking with this first beer, James, do you want to introduce yourself and your role at the brewery?
Yeah. My name's James. I'm in charge of sales for Overtone, which basically just means I sling a lot of beer around. But I get quite a lot of fun out of slinging a lot of beer around. So yeah, it's good. It's good. Thanks.
Nice. Right, well, we'll just get straight into it then. Do you want to introduce this first beer and then we'll get going, like?
Yeah, I mean it's all Vic Secret. We started this It's All range with it's all Nelson, which we released a few weeks back, and it did very well. Absolutely loved it. So this is the second, and it's a triple dry hopped, hazy New England beer with obviously Vic Secret is a showcase hop.
Well,
fantastic colour on it, like.
Looks lovely, doesn't it?
It smells amazing as well.
I keep forgetting to show that to the camera.
Oh, that is nice. Yeah. It's got a lot of. I'm going to use a buzzword, like say it's got a lot of dankness to it. That like.
Oh, that's lovely.
That is nice.
It's going down very well on a Wednesday night.
It's got a nice. The sweetness is a little bit honey-like, which is nice. It helps it go down as well. I think it pairs really well with the hops that are in there. Vic Secret.
Oh, nice. As well, I don't know if you guys find this, but I always find it with Vic Secret, and it's not a bad thing by any stretch of the imagination. It's almost got like a little bit of tanginess to it as well. No, that's nice, that, but it's balanced as well. I'm enjoying that a lot. That's James, how many of these you cracked them? So what's James, do you want to give a little bit of a journey to where you are and how you got to kind of what you're doing at Overtone?
I've kind of worked in kind of beer and brewing for about 5 years or so. I used to work with a brewery called Straven Ales, which is kind of more traditional cask ale stuff. Moved on to Merchant City Brewing, so another Glasgow brewery. And kind of whilst I was working there, I guess Overtone had kind of became more kind of to the fore about the kind of craft scene. You know, one of my favourite styles would be the kind of, you know, the hoppy. I hate to refer to them as calling them New England, because I think we've just got into this habit of calling hazy beers New England style beers, and really they're just being dry hopped, or double dry hopped, or triple dry hopped. But that was the styles that I started to get into. November 2019, I joined Overtone, and since then it's been cracking, been all good.
You're based in Glasgow, aren't you? What's the beer scene like in Glasgow? I know, me personally, I don't really know a huge amount about it, so it'd be quite interesting to just get a feel for the scene up there.
Yeah, it's. I mean, we produce Tenants, which is probably the biggest brand beer-wise to come out of Glasgow. Not really in the craft scene. Dry, or maybe one that you'll see in supermarkets. They're small gypsy brewers that kind of, you know, I guess I was going to say that there's quite a lot coming to the marketplace now. A lot of kind of new guys coming in. Some of the gypsy brewers have got like really, really good reputations and are producing some fabulous beer. I mean, we don't really. I guess we're probably the kind of big craft guys now in Glasgow, if you can call us that.
Is there a rivalry between Glasgow and Edinburgh, a bit like East Coast and West Coast of the US? Is there a bit of a we do the best beer, or is there going to be a Southwest Coast IPA from Glasgow coming along? Or
do you know? I think there's a rivalry between the cities, because Edinburgh is huge for tourism. You know, everybody that comes over from abroad goes to Edinburgh. got Edinburgh Castle and Arthur's Seat, and they like to see it. Edinburgh is a beautiful city. From a brewing perspective, there's a lot of brewers in Edinburgh that the Edinburgh guys have kind of hit the market with respect to tap rooms. You know, guys at Campervan have got, like, they're just about to open a second tap room, and the site of the first one is just fantastic. Obviously, Vault City, you'll know well, they're absolutely smashing it. In fact, one of our guys is heading off to be an assistant brewer at Vault City shortly. But I don't think there's really a brewing rivalry. Where Vault City has their niche, we've also got our niche, and the kind of the hazy, hoppy, dry hopped beers. I guess that's what we're specialising in, and I don't believe there's Edinburgh brewers that are kind of really doing that to the extent that we are. So I don't think there's a rivalry. I think there's a lot of mutual respect between the two cities from a brewing perspective. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Vault City. Love what they do. You know, I'm sure you guys are as well, unless you're just pure hotheads, you know.
No, we actually had Vault City on the podcast. Was it about a month ago, lads? Do you think?
Yeah, it's about 4 episodes ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was good. We jump on Vault City's orders every couple of weeks and stuff. So yeah, we know them. We know them well. Actually, when we're talking about them, someone on Instagram wanted to know, would Overtone ever do a collab with Vault City, or would that not be something you would approach?
We're in talks, mate. I think what would, if it all comes through, like one of our guys, Fendi, who's been kind of running the canning line and kind of head of kind of packaging, he's moving over to Vault City as an assistant brewer. Hope this isn't hope it's public knowledge. But the plan is that we hopefully do a home leg, whereby we brew a hoppy IPA with Vault, and then we do an away leg, which is like a fruited sour. You know, we kind of, I guess, pray to the specialities of the brewers. So yeah, fingers crossed we'll have something in the works very, very soon when we get talking.
I think it's quite cool with like the kind of craft beer scene, like what we've experienced from just talking to people anyway, and what we kind of see on a day-to-day on a shelf is very collaborative, the whole industry. Where I think in terms of like big macro brewers, they'll probably try and shoot each other down as quick as they can, whereas craft's got much more of a community feel to it, which is really good to see.
Yeah, I do think there is that. I think we found it quite difficult kind of finding people to collab with last year, because there was very much this virtual kind of collaboration scene whereby you weren't really getting to visit, you know, and I think that this year that's opened back up, and it's led to hopefully us doing some interesting collaborations later on in the year.
Mm-hmm. That'd be good fun.
So when you say you sling beer about for Overtone, what is your name? What, can't even speak. Put my teeth back in. What does your normal day at the brewery look like, just on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, I guess that Mondays and Fridays are very much about communicating with our customers and making sure that everybody knows what beer we're launching. Tuesdays and Wednesdays and Thursdays, typically, you know, deliveries, admin, packing pallets. I mean, I went out and done the local deliveries today, and then we ship a wee bit to export. So we had a couple of pallets to build up that are going out tomorrow. One to France and a couple to Denmark. So I guess it's quite busy. You know, we've kind of grown over the last 12 months quite substantially. So we're still kind of finding our feet. You know, when production goes up, then you've got this kind of thing where your stock turnover gets faster and you're not holding on to beer as quickly, and then stock control becomes much more difficult because you've got to remember where the beer's going, and you know, so it can be quite testing, but very rewarding. Like I absolutely adore it. I love what I do.
Yeah, it'll always it must, obviously the bigger you guys get, the harder your job becomes, doesn't it? So because you guys started in, was it summer of 18? I think Overtone started.
Yeah,
Yeah.
spot on.
So, you know,
Spot on, yeah.
kind of in the world of beer, still relatively young, but I think especially for how young you guys are, I think you are a big brewery, and I mean big in the sense of well known and popular.
Cheers.
No, definitely.
I think we've definitely in the last 12 months, our brew team, Dan and Charlie, have improved, and I use the term remarkably a lot, because when I look at what the beers we were producing at first quarter of last year compared to what we're producing now, is just like the contrast. The beer wasn't bad there by any stretch of the imagination, but the extent at which the lads have improved is really phenomenal. Like I'm in quite a lot of awe of what they've done as a brew team. Like they've been brilliant.
Yeah. What would you say? Sorry, go on, Alex.
This is just running. Obviously, you mentioned that you kind of been rushed off your feet and things at the minute due to the popularity. How have I suppose it's possibly more down the brewery line, but how have you guys found it as a company to like scale up and to maintain the demand and the quality as well? And the demand, I think, is huge, and like Chris is saying, the quality just seems to have improved massively. And well, yeah, you were saying yourself, quality's improved massively over the last year or so. So how do you find, how have you coped with that?
I think it's always quite difficult. I think that the gaffer, the boss, he kind of foreseen a period of growth. I think I'm not sure. I don't think anyone could have foreseen the circumstances and how it happened, but we kind of had 40 hect tanks that we'd bought. Kind of, I don't know. It's really now that we're starting to realise the potential of having them, or else we would have been like, yeah, very, very, very much restricted in what we could do if those hadn't come in. I think we'd brought in an assistant brewer from Loch Lomond, and he added an awful lot of consistency to what we do. You know, Dan, I refer to Dan as a wizard. He's our lead brewer, you know, the recipe cultivation, and Charlie's provided a kind of real solidity about the brewing process, and he now does a probably more of the brewing than Dan does now, and that lets Dan take a step back and work more on recipe creation, you know, things like hop combinations and trying to kind of look a little bit differently, like our sour game. And I guess we'll go on to eating mallows shortly, but our sour game's improved remarkably again, and that's just another testament to the lads practicing, you know, fruit combinations, different ABVs, and I guess just working hard and doing research as well. You know, drinking beer is fantastic research to get to know what A, what your competition are doing, and B, getting to know what works. You know, you drink a beer from one of your competition and it's shite, and you're like, "Whoa, let's make sure we don't do that." But in the same sense, you drink it by someone else, and you're like, "What a combination! Like, why haven't we done that before?" And I'm not saying we steal ideas from other people, but I mean, if it works, like you're not stealing the idea; you're just embracing their you know, inspiration. You know?
There's so many breweries out there. Like the chances are someone's done a hop combination before, or kind of that sort of thing. So you're not reinventing the wheel, are you? So why not take inspiration? Because like everyone will have their own unique twist to it. So yeah, why not take some inspiration from others?
Yeah.
What's it been like with because obviously the bars and stuff, and I'm sure you'll be selling into those in terms of like cans and stuff like that, but what do you think the impact has been on like the whole industry as a whole, with just going kind of like shopping local and stuff? Because I think most people that have probably started a beer account on Instagram have probably done it over the last however many months of lockdown. Do you see when you're speaking to like these local shop owners and stuff as well, have they been championing that sort of stuff? I'm sure there's been more of an uptake of people trying their hand at having craft when you would have probably thought might not have bothered.
Yeah, I think people's perspective changed. I think the punter that would go to the supermarket and buy a 12-pack of Carling or Foster's or Tennent's, I think there's only so many 12-packs you can drink in a house, and you kind of realise that you're just smashing the same beer, and you're just going to get. So I think there's an element of people that have started, as you say, the same guys that started the Instagram blogs that are kind of getting into it, and instead of sitting on a Saturday night and getting smashed on a 12-pack, they'll sit and they'll have 4 or 5 of our beers, or buy some stuff from. I mean, you can take your pick. I guess about 10 breweries in the UK that are completely smashing it now, and I think spending the same amount of money and not getting hammered, which it's always been a Friday and Saturday night thing. Let's get drunk. Moving away from that and kind of starting to appreciate, hold on a second, we're spending £7 on a can of beer. Let's have a proper think about it. Take a wee picture of it if you like, put it on Insta, and then speak to someone about it online. And there's something really nice and really rewarding about communicating across social media. I know social media some people love it, some people hate it, but it allows you to communicate with people who you can't do tap takeovers. Or certainly we didn't have any of the beer festivals or any of the ways that we would normally communicate with people. So social media and Instagram, I think it's been fantastic for the industry. We certainly wouldn't be where we are now without it. We just wouldn't be in the same place we are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Because I'm wondering, because obviously cans have been the kind of staple for most people, or people are being obviously getting like the growlers and milk cartons or whatever filled up. Do you reckon some bars might try and branch out and get a bit more cans in that are a bit quirkier, and then have maybe it's like yourselves a bit more as a staple on draft?
Fingers crossed they do. I think there's still approach bars, and obviously people are starting to open their doors now. I know you lads have been open for, was it a week ago on Monday, wasn't it? The doors open. Our bar's open, let me see, next Monday, outside. And yeah, I think people would be naive if they think that bars are going to be trading exactly the same as they were, before COVID. After lockdown 1, we saw a dramatic shift in how people were drinking and what they were drinking. So I'd like to think that trend will continue. Mm-hmm. Again, we need a crystal ball to figure out exactly what's going to happen. But I certainly think, and we've got a beer called Crystal Ball coming out soon, by the way, because of that. But yeah, goodness knows what will happen.
What type of beer is Crystal Ball then? Or can you not say?
Oh, it's a banger, mate. It's a triple New England. It's out in 2 weeks. Nice. So it cryo hopped as well, kind of similar to the beer we'll be drinking later on. But yeah, it should be a banger. Dan was telling me it's going to be better than the one we'll drink later, but that remains to be seen.
I've heard there's a lot of hype about this one, isn't there? We're going to be drinking later.
Exactly. Talking to that, are we ready to move on to the sour, or has people still got beer left?
I've got a spare glass, so good to go.
Good to go.
Have you? Do you know what? I'll just grab a spare glass and I'll grab the sour out.
Can't be having a sour out of the same glass as a bit.
This is what happens when you drink with Newcastle people. That's why. No, it's right though, isn't it? I mean, like with regards to social media and that, it's like I would never have met you lads. You know what I mean? If it wasn't for the beer accounts, and I'm sure I know I have. I'm sure you guys have as well, as made other, a lot of other friends through it as well.
Well, that's it. You talk about the collaboration between breweries, but kind of obviously what we all do on Instagram. I say we have not really posted for a long time, but yeah, like it is very collaborative, and everyone's just willing to chat. Like you comment on people's beer, you talk about the beer, and it's exactly what you'd be doing down in the pub, but obviously we're doing that virtually. Yeah. And I think it's been a good platform for that, to almost give you that almost sense of normality, but obviously digitally, which is quite cool.
the community on the Instagrams, like I say, like very similar to the industry that we're drinking and partaking in, if that makes sense. Like there's not really, yes, you see it every now and again as someone being a bit nasty or a bit questionable, but 98% or 99% of the time, everyone's just lush people just enjoying a beer and whatever.
Unless you're talking about Sabra, in which case you're always going to
split straight down the middle.
Aye. Right, James, do you want to introduce this next beer, and then we'll get going.
Excited.
Yes. So this one's a bit weird. So it's an Imperial Eating Mess. A lot of our beers, we try and tie in some type of music link. So I wanted to call it Eating Rifles after the Jam song. Nobody was up for that because the kids don't get it these days. I don't know whether you lads are musically minded or the like. So so we ended up calling it Eating Rifles. So let me get the fruits right because I got them wrong the other day. Raspberries, lingonberries and strawberries, and then we actually put 20 kilograms of marshmallows into it as well. And it's the first type of beer that we've done like this.
Yeah.
I'd say if it wasn't for those marshmallows, that would be killer sour.
Yeah.
It's unreal. I think it's
really nice.
Thick, it's sour. It's it is almost like a raspberry coulis, a fizzy raspberry coulis is what
I think there's no worse than when you have a sour and it's not sour. Does that make sense? So like that is tart as fuck. It's banging, like, and that's obviously from all the berries and stuff, but it's been a long time since I ate Eating Mess, and if it's anything like that, I need to start eating mess again.
It literally doesn't stop giving, does it? It just keeps going, like making you pucker. Like 2 minutes later, I'm going. That's good though. It's a good thing.
Exactly what it should be. No, that's a cracking sour. That, like, very, very, very good. I'm really enjoying it. But it's like what you were saying, Alex. If it wasn't for the marshmallows, that would turn your head inside out, like, in a good way.
No, it's nice.
James, just while we're talking about different beer styles and stuff like before, what's your personal favorite beer style?
Is he still there?
We've lost
It's
it.
like frozen.
I hope he comes back.
Get in. Zoom's just the best.
I don't know. My ropey.
No, it's all right. I think
we can hear you now anyway. Just can't see you very much.
Is you?
I think is it working now?
All right.
Yes, there we go.
It's maybe my internet. I'm not
it's good.
Sure.
We're good.
Yeah, sorry, mate. So what's your favourite? I can't remember what I said now.
What's your favourite style? Yeah.
Favorite style. I guess now.
The curse of technology.
It's been good so much.
Now it's a New England IPA. You know that I started drinking beer, and I love the German Weiss beers. You know, Andex and Connie Ludwig and everything. I just love them. There's a big boozer in Glasgow called the Bavarian Brauhaus, and it's got 20 taps. It's all German beers. They've got this grand setting with paintings on the roof. It's fabulous, and there's nothing better than going in there and sinking a couple of pints or steins if that beers. I hate to just always call them New England IPAs because that they are just hazy beers that have been dry hopped, and the level of dry hop kind of dictates, I guess, how New Englandish they are. But yeah, now I'm a proper beer snob, and it is a New England IPA would be my favourite style. You chase certain hops. I'm definitely a Sabro person. Nelson Sauvin, I came late to the party, but yeah. That style of beer now is definitely my go-to.
Nice.
You said you started off kind of in the cask world. Was that something that you did enjoy drinking as well, and you still kind of go back to?
Still do. My local boozer in Glasgow, it's called the Bon Accord, and yeah, they've got 10 rotational hand pools, and I love a pint English bitter. Love a 4% pale ale from Loch Lomond or Swanee. I think it's very much horses for courses. I think there's a beer for every occasion, and whether you like a Bog City Stout or one of ours, or whether it's a triple IPA or an MP Stout, I just think that people that say they don't like beer, for me, they've just not found the right beer yet. And you'll get them quite a lot. I just don't like beer.
It's like what
posting something on Insta.
Yeah, it's what Andy was saying from Ball City is that like they found that actually, if a lot of cider drinkers have found their way into beer through sours, which I find really interesting. Like there is a beer for everyone out there. You just need to find what that beer is, don't you? Speaking of which, if you're going to suggest a Overtone kind of beer to a complete craft novice, or a style of beer for a craft novice.
What did you say?
I don't know. I think he said you'll be back in a second. I think he's going to go near the route now.
Yeah.
Actually, I was going to ask you guys while he's gone. Have you ever dabbled much in craft in Scotland? Because obviously we've obviously had the Vault City together. A couple of us have had Overtone before, but have you tried anything else from north of the border?
I'm horrendous with knowing where breweries are from unless they make it known. If that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah.
So if you shout out some breweries from Scotland, I'll tell you, but I can't say I know for certain. I've tried plenty Overtone. I've tried plenty Vault. Other breweries, I can't think, if I'm honest.
You might have heard of Brewdog. I don't know. Quite new. Loch Lomond, like you mentioned before, they've got some pretty banging beers. To be fair, there's one which I wasn't massively fond of, but I know they have changed the recipe now, which was more of like a maltier style of IPA, which I think I'm more accustomed to since I've been drinking quite a lot of stouts and getting a bit more into like Belgian Tina stuff, so that'll probably change my mind. But they're pretty good, reasonably priced. They mainly do bottles, they don't really do cans, so they do like the big styles. Saltaire as well, they're pretty good. They've got an Edinburgh IPA.
I thought Saltaire is based in Bradford.
So, isn't it? I thought they were Scottish because my Scottish mate was like, "Oh, you've got to try these. They're local to me." He's probably absolutely bullshitting to me.
There's Saltaire.
Yeah, and I think
Saltaire is definitely just outside Bradford.
I thought Salt was.
But it's more traditional. Oh, Salt.
Yeah, Salt Brewery's in. But I don't know. I'll have to have a
check.
check.
So Salt. Yeah, Salt Scottish. I thought you said Saltaire.
I thought you said Saltaire as well.
Yeah, that's definitely Yorkshire.
I might have been. Oh, I meant. Yeah, sorry, my bad. But there's definitely plenty of ones that are coming out, and I mean, in terms of like area and where people live, I think there's obviously two big hubs of like Edinburgh and Glasgow and stuff like that. So finding a small local brewery is going to be a bit rarer when they're going to try and put things into Newcastle or even further south.
Yeah,
which is going to be interesting to see how they kind of go about, really. But hopefully,
just when we're talking there, when we were talking to James there about his favourite style, I don't think we've ever had the discussion what ours is.
Oh, we didn't do it on the one where we got pissed, did we?
Well, probably, but I can't remember that podcast, mate. We were fucking together in an hour. I was smashed.
I have to do another one of them.
I know. Go on then, what's yours, bud?
Oh, me? Who? Yeah.
I'll go after you.
Don't know, to be honest. Like, some have really changed my mind recently. That Tin Meadows one that I had. Have you tried yours yet, Chris?
I have, made the Trappist Ale.
Yeah, like that's something I would never really go for. I think I would be probably giving it if it was someone's around and I was trying to do a bit of a tour around bars and I'd be like, "Oh, I like this," have it and I'd be like, oh, I wouldn't really order it for myself. But being pleasantly surprised, to be honest, by those. I think they're like a decent good bit of hit to them on the booze front. Malt, sometimes they've got a good bit of spice to it. A lot of caramel, a lot of smokiness in that Tint Meadows one as well, which I really enjoyed.
Alex, what about you?
I'd just go for a dipper, probably just like a chill hop dipper. Mainly Saba and Citra, anything along those lines. Just can't go wrong really. Yeah, that's my go-to anyway. Whenever I see one in the local bottle shop.
I'd probably say the same, mate, except the Sabro, but obviously banging in West Coast at the minute as well, so me mind changes quite often. Like,
have we done an on and off with the router and it's back working?
You know, I won't go into.
You can swear, it's fine. Do it.
Yeah, it's one of these houses with like big walls, and there's all these wee extensions kicking about everywhere. Yeah, and then you've got to connect to one, because if one signal drops, it goes to another one. And you end up being connected to a router at the other side of the house. Anyway, hopefully this is the right one. Anyway, so sorry about that, gent. Apologies.
Quite all right.
Don't worry about it. It happens, you know, technology and all that. You can't rely on it at all, especially when you work in the industry as well, like I do. Yeah. Anyway, but I was just going to ask, what's your favourite? Was it style of beer?
No,
we obviously mentioned a few.
It was.
Oh no, it wasn't. It was. What style of beer would you recommend to someone who's never tried craft before? Or is there an Overtone beer which you would recommend?
Sorry, signal went a bit wonky there. I was like, okay, we go. I think it depends. If someone likes cider, I'd always recommend them to go for a sour. I really don't know. I've spoken to so many people that come up at beer festivals and I don't really like beer. What would you recommend? And I'm like, well, you're at the wrong fucking stall. You know, the gin bit's over there. So yeah. You give people a wee sample of a New England, they'll be like, it still tastes like beer, and you're like, well, you know, honestly, do one. So I don't really know. I've stopped trying to tell people that there's a style of beer out there for them. I think there's some style of beers that we produce that are incredibly drinkable. You know, all you've got to do is look about to people like Vault City to understand that it's like drinking a smoothie that's a little bit carbonated. I mean, they hide the alcohol so well. Trying to get somebody to come around to drinking something delicious like a 6.5 New England IPA. If you don't like that, then you shouldn't try and drink beer or stick to lager or whatever. I don't. Yeah, there's so many different types of alcohol out there and so many different types of beer out there that, you know, I guess it's anyone's prerogative. You know, I think it's. But because of the way the craft beer scene is just now, like it's a joy to work in it when there's so many people producing so many good beers, you know. So anyone who doesn't understand it or doesn't want it, I think if you can go and drink some Gordon's and tonic, you know.
I think quite a lot of the people that say they don't like craft they are just kind of like the lager louts and they'll stick to kind of what they know, or they've had like a bad experience where they've had a bad night on it or whatever. Well, I suppose it should be bad morning really when by the time they get home. I think it's all about giving different chances, and like what Alex said before, everyone has their own little spin on it. Like we can drink some stuff from say like Wylam, and we know it's from Wylam because it's their regular taste that they'll have, or something that you guys will have, something that's a standout kind of taste or background note that you'll always have. And it's probably trying to get their heads around that not all the beers the same. There is so many different combinations that you can have, and I think a good, obviously 90% has been done, but there's obviously new hops that are coming through. Always, it's the game's kind of changing. People are taking note a bit more on what you can do with it, and obviously the collabs are only going to help that cause as well.
I was just kind of thinking that there's always almost a stereotype to a craft beer drinker. And I was wondering if you thought it was still the case of the super hipster kind of plaid shirt, kind of fake glasses,
Big-
like possibly some big old beards. Just kind of thought, if you thought like, is that stereotype real, or has it shifted completely? Like, yeah.
I think, and I mean, I'm trying to choose my words quite carefully, because you know, there's probably people that will become offended. I think if you look at the camera guy, right, which is you know, the big fella with the big beard. There's so many of our customers now are what used to be that camera guy, and I you know, that there's people who, again, there's people who review your beers or message you directly, and you wouldn't know that they were a fan of your beers. They would say or do something that would be like spectacularly fucked up, and just be like, you're like, what? Why would someone who's trying to support us say that or do that? And you're like, fuck, you know, and then they're not doing it to piss you off. They're doing it to try and illustrate that they have a level of knowledge or a level of, you know, something that gives them the right to do that. And the more I think about it, the more I understand where they're coming from. And I don't think the craft beer drinker exists as a stereotype anymore. I think they vary in sex, age, race, like everything, and that's kind of proven whenever you actually start speaking to people and you go and have meetings with people. You know, whenever the bars reopen and you start talking to these enthusiasts, you realise they come in all shapes and sizes. Like, so yeah, I don't think the stereotype exists anymore. I think that we're actually, as a breed of people, I think we're actually quite big. You know, I think there's hundreds of us, like there's thousands of us, maybe there's millions of us. And it's brilliant to speak to so many people that share the same enthusiasm, even if some people struggle to show it as enthusiasm and they show it as ignorance or whatever else. You still need to embrace them. You know, you still need to be like, right, they're just being a dick because they're trying to prove something, that they're not being a dick deliberately just to piss us off, because it appears like that, you know. I hope that made sense. It did in my head.
Yeah, absolutely. It's completely true. I think, well, you look at all three of us, none of us like the stereotype. I also completely disagree with stereotypes. I think like beer is for everyone. Everything's for everyone. It doesn't matter who you are, what you do, what you enjoy doing. Like, and it's like what we were saying before, with beer out there for everyone. And yeah, I can agree more with what you said. It was a bit of a leading question, so I apologise. I wasn't trying to trick you up or anything like that. I realised that after I asked it. But yeah, sorry about that tricky one.
That's all right.
Obviously, just when you were saying you love, you know, where the craft beer scene is at the moment and all that type of stuff. I mean, it's no secret that COVID probably, you know, fucked a lot of things up for a lot of people and a lot of breweries. Like, you know, you don't, obviously, I don't want you to go into numbers and figures and all that type of stuff, but to what extent did COVID impact Overtone, and kind of what did you guys do to combat that, or did you just keep doing what you were doing and ride the wave?
Yeah, you know, I've said this a lot, and it's probably the question I get asked the most when I've done these. We were just really lucky, like, and I say lucky. I guess it's our gaffer, when he set up, he wanted to do everything in house. So he wanted to keg beer, he wanted to can beer. So we've got a canning line, we've got a kegging facility, and obviously we brew on site. We've got a chiller so we can cold store our beer. So whenever lockdown 1 happened, like, everybody shit themselves. Everyone involved. I mean, if people didn't shit themselves, then I would be alarmed. And then after about the first 3 weeks, the bottle shops open. I think somebody important came out and said alcohol is an essential product. And the second they said that, any brewer in their right mind went, right, we need to work around this system by getting our beer out in a different fashion, and we just, I mean, we had, I don't know, 300 kegs sitting in the chiller. There must have been at least 300 kegs sitting in the chiller that we couldn't sell because all the pubs were shut. And we knew they were going to be shut for a while. So we took the rest of the beer we had in tank and we canned it all. And at that point, we canned it all. We sold it all within like a week. And we were like, fucking hell. Like, there's obviously a market. It was new customers coming out. New customers. We're talking about people that were buying products online. We get granted, and this is a bit of kudos to the government. We get granted our off-sales license that we applied for 12 months prior. We get granted that in 48 hours. So they were that desperate for business to continue that we get granted that license instantly. And that's, you know, I tip my hat to whoever it is made that decision or made that call. If it was coincidence, one hell of a other all got handed that off-trade license, so the ability to sell in the off-trade direct to customers within 48 hours in Scotland, across Scotland, and that was an immediate godsend as well. So we were just, I think we were lucky that we did everything on site, and then we were very lucky that we were able to get the web shop up and running. You know, my two directors are very technical minded, so they were able to get that website up and running really quickly. So we were able to instantly start paying some of the bills that were going to be lost by you know, pubs not being open. So yeah, it was a shock, and then we kind of, I guess, we adjusted, and then we sold it a beer, so we had no beer. So then we had to like we need to start brewing beer again. So how much do we brew? We've no idea. How do we package it? Are the pubs going to open in 4 weeks? Is it going to be 8 weeks? Is it going to be 12 weeks? So you just really did just need a crystal ball to figure out what was going to happen. And then obviously we came out of it, and we ended up having to discount all the kegs that we'd packaged. And they all sold like fuck. You know, everyone was like, oh, I need beer. You know what happened in June last year? Everyone just went, yes, party. Everyone went to the pub. We had a couple of weeks of sunshine. And then October came again, and then it fucking started. But because we made those adjustments in March, it was dead easy to make them again in October. And then this is us today. We're on the cusp of being able to sell at pubs and drink in pubs again. But you guys are all right. You've probably been out in the piss a couple of times in the last.
Yeah, we sure have. Do you think the kind of the hybrid approach of online sales and pub sales is going to be like you guys for the future, or would you go back to just to pub sales?
I think we were always selling. The web shop thing was really good. The web shop, opening our own web shop, allowed us to, as I said, pay the bills. It offered a bit of financial stability for the company, and that was important at the time that there was people shutting their doors. You'll know that yourself. There was a lot of the big guys ceased production. I remember, I think it was Neon Raptor that just shut their doors and they just stopped producing beer. And I'm a big fan of theirs, and I was like, fucking hell, is that them done? And I know that they had to. I think Verdant did it as well for a couple of weeks, where they're just like, we just need to take a break, think about everything, and then, you know, think about how to do it, because everyone needed to change. So I think we'll always continue to kind of work with the web guys, as well as, you know, dealing with kegs to pubs, because there's a certain punter that wants to sit in a boozer, irrespective of the time of year. They want to sit in a pub and drink beer, and when they go home, they'll do something else, you know. So strategically, we're going to continue what we're doing. Hopefully, that we will. Aye.
Nice.
Interesting.
Nice. Are you guys getting on with that sour? Because I am chomping at the bit to open this triple IPA.
Could be Chris's new beer of the year, this one, he says.
potentially be. What I've read of it could be.
I think James is now thinking we're all alcoholics who just like pop.
Yeah,
I'm a little bit astonished at the pace, but I guess I've been doing quite a lot of talking, so I need to go back to the fridge and, and get this beer out. But,
yeah, go on, mate.
I'm sitting in a window, so you lads are like that. Straight down the hatch. If your tolerance, you guys have had 9 days to build that tolerance back up again. I'm still.
No, it's good to know that they haven't obviously everyone struggled through the COVID period and that, but it's good to know that they kept sailing and riding that wave, wasn't it? And it's.
Yeah, I think to diversify so quickly like they have done, and a lot of breweries have done, I think it's been incredible just to see it shows the innovation in the space. And yeah, it's actually remarkable to see almost an entire industry diversify so quickly from bottle shops, from pubs to a pure online market, and be so successful at it as well. It's really good to see.
Yeah. Could have started our own web store or the website to sell platform. You know what I mean? That should have been the one. So this last beer is going to absolutely finish us off like 2 8% and 11% there. I'm not going to be drinking through the week, but here we go.
Yeah, I tried to not drink through the week and that just didn't happen. James, do you want to introduce this last beer to her?
Yeah, so I mean, it's our first soiree into cryo hops, and it's called Explosions in the Cry, with a tilt towards a band called Explosions in the Sky. It's we're 20 guys at the final in the dry. Let me just make sure. Yeah, it's Citra and Eldorado. So Citra pellet, Citra cryo, Eldorado pellet, Eldorado cryo. It's triple dry hopped. I think somebody described it on Untapped the other day as being hop custard. I kind of just agree with that. It's just like a beer as you're likely to see. I mean, we talk quite a lot in the brewery about triple IPAs.
That is fucking serious.
That
in a good way.
Just tastes like juice, like 11%. Where is that? Like hop custard is, I think, the perfect definition of it. Like it's thick and it's just in your face.
Juice bomb,
that is that thick. I almost want to put it in a bowl and eat it with a spoon.
That's banging. There's so much going on in it as well. Though. It's not just like one kind of solid lump of juice and hops. It's really got some good levels to it. Like
it's a hell of a colour as well.
I know. It looks amazing in the glass. I mean, it's got because when you're saying it's got Citra and Eldorado, is it got? I don't even know how you say that. Or is Motueka? Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Because it's almost got that typical flavour from that hop, which is a bit limey as well. Which that's awesome, like
pretty good. The booze level is just right on it as well. It just kind of like just rears its head but then dips off quite quickly. So you're drinking something that is a bit bigger than like a normal kind of pint or something, which I don't mind at all. I think if it's completely covered over, I think you're probably doing something a bit wrong. You're trying to hide a mistake maybe with some sort of flavour, but that's got like that perfect just like dip into it.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, man. It's there's no sign of like over the top alcohol or anything like that whatsoever. You still know you're drinking a beer though, which I think's the exact right level a beer should be at. That makes sense.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
That's good, man. I suppose since we clearly all love this beer, James, what's your favourite Overtone beer to date?
Yeah, I mean, this is it. the kind of ongoing conversation in the brewery. But I don't know whether you tried our It's All Nelson beer. We released it 2 weeks ago. Triple dry hop Nelson, 8%. Same series as the It's All Vic beer. I drank that, and I immediately I text Dan, our brewer, and I was like, "This beer's fucking amazing." I had a can, and I didn't finish it. I just went to we had cans for each beer to kind of take home and do the Instagram thing and drink them. And I just went straight to the fridge. And it was a school night as well. It was midweek, and I had my second can, and I wanted to check that the second can was as good as the first can, because it was the best beer that we've brewed. I know that when I say that back, it sounds stupid, but I was blown away by that beer. And then I tried a can of this last Wednesday, and I text Dan, and I've drank the triple IPA. I don't want to call it a fad. It's been a thing, and it probably reached a kind of level of real importance from about last summer. And from last summer, everyone started banging out triples. And we released our first triple called Big Gun. I think it was last July. And then since then, we released Last Postioka. And I've enjoyed both of those beers. But I drank that, and I was just like, there's some triples are bitter, some are boozy, some are harsh, some have hot burn. Like that was the first triple, and not just from ours, but period that I've tried that was super smooth and kind of creamy and custardy. I don't. There's a thickness to it. Don't get me wrong. There's so many good triples out there. I wouldn't say that our triple's better than everyone else's. It's certainly. I feel it's our best beer that we've ever produced, and that's. I just think it is. I love it. If it wasn't my beer, I would still love it. I adore it as a beer. I wish I had more of it. We've sold out of it. We'll need to rebrew it, but I just adore it. It's fantastic.
I think it's testament to your quality that all through the beers like we've had tonight, every single one's had that nice kind of a little bit of thickness to it. Like even the double IPA is not a shy off how thick this one is. I think I measure that as a big thing for quality most of the time, because sometimes you'll get something that's quite watery and doesn't have that kind of extra nice bit on it. You know what I mean? Like I always think a thick beer is definitely a high standing beer in my thoughts. I don't know about you two.
Especially a tipper, I think. A tipper needs to have that thick pour, and it almost needs to cling to the glass a little bit. And yeah, like it needs. Looks like you should be pouring syrup or custard or something along those lines. And yeah, that's exactly what it does. And yeah, it's like you hit the nail on the head in terms of your niche, in terms of like big hoppy like juice bombs, and that's exactly what we've got tonight. The sour imagery, which is unreal.
Yeah, definitely, man. I mean, I know you've pretty much answered the question anyway, James. But what is your thoughts on these, massive ABV beers that have, like you say, you don't want to call it a fad, but it has kind of came out of nowhere, and kind of everyone's throwing them out and all this type of stuff. So what is your thoughts on these big ABV beers that are flying around?
I didn't really. I didn't want to jump on the hype train, and then what did Dan give me? I drank one by Polly's. Was it a birthday beer maybe that really kind of changed the game? In fact, the first one I think was Eagle Tripping from Pomona, Eagle Tripping at the Gates of Hell, and I loved that beer. But I drank it that quickly that I went to my bed very shortly after finishing the beer. I was just like, "Oof, can't done." I was like, and I'd had a couple before it. I say a couple. I'd had a few before it, so it was probably a bad idea. And then I drank one from Polly's. That it wasn't a triple; it was a quad. I drank Polly's quad, 15% birthday beer, and I drank it on a Saturday afternoon. I don't know why. and I went straight to my bed. But I loved it. What a beer! And then I started to think triple IPAs aren't for me. And then I drank Dea's first one that was 10%. I can't remember what it was called. It was delightful. It was a Dea beer, so it was light, it was fluffy, but it was still 10%. But it didn't send me to sleep. So I don't know. I think I need to stop drinking triples because you end up buying Cloudwater. You know, Pona seem to be smashing them all the time. Obviously, Polly's and Track. You know, you end up drinking too many, and it can send you to sleep on a Saturday night around about 9:30. And I've done it. It's not once or twice. It's 3 or 4 times now. You know, I've missed football games because of it. I get to start after a few beers, and then I wake up and the game is over, and I'm like, "Fucking hell, what happened there?" And I look down. Oh, right, there's an empty can of Dea's, most recent triple. And I'm not sure quads are the right way, but again, Polly's was delightful. It was a bit boozy and it was quite thick, but it was still delicious. You know, I think if you're going to be drinking quads or triples, you probably need to have like a forum of people that you can drink them with, because drinking them yourselves just a fucking nightmare. You know.
I think it's hard to pick up something like maybe a triple or a quad and have that as your first tipple of the night. And I think you need a bit of a loosener into it. It's something that you don't really get home and you open a bottle of whiskey and go, I'm going to have a bit of this tonight with your dinner, do you? Like, I mean, well, I don't know how hard of a drinker you are. Like, in my books, that's not really a thing I would do. I think I'd start at least with a beer, maybe as a glass of wine, then probably go with the whiskey. But it's something where I think, yeah, you're right. You're probably going to want to have to sit around a couple of people and have a bit of a chat with it. Like it's a slow burner. It's not designed to be smashed down. Even though some of them, like this one, taste incredible, and you want to go straight into it. I'm just going to really holding back on this, but it's something that you should definitely do. And I think if bars start doing that as a bit of a thing, like later on in the evening time, or something where that's where the whiskey drinker would come in, or someone who's going to have maybe as a single rum that's a nice aged rum or something. If you start bringing out like the half glasses or third glasses of tippers and quads, I think that's quite a niche thing to get into that no one's actually doing yet. So it could just be like your kind of nightcap beer without actually changing your style of drink, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It's something I'd be a fan of, as long as it was a third, any more than that, and it's fucking good night. but yeah.
When you're hammering something in that's 12-13% in a 440 can, it's like, on I can't remember what day it was now. A couple of days ago, anyway, I cracked open the Cloudwater Green Cheek quadruple IPA. And I cracked that open at like 5:30, man. I finished work and I went straight to the fridge. Now I'm gonna have a beer, and I've got that many fucking beers in the fridge. Lee's too large, no, right? But I've got an obscene amount of beer in the house, right? So I just stuck my hand in the fridge and picked one out, and it was this. And I was like, all right, let's go. Fair enough, mate. I was asleep by like fucking 8 o'clock because I cracked 2 more cans after it. The percentage gradually went down as the night went on. I went the complete opposite way. Just ridiculous.
Slippery slope, that one.
But like,
for me, I'd love to just have a 330 of a tipper. I mean, like not like, don't get me wrong, I've drunk every single tipper I've ever had out of a 440 and enjoyed every single one of them, I think, bar one. And yeah, I completely agree. I think as a smaller kind of little nightcap, or after you've had like 3 or 4, just to sip and just to really enjoy, for me, it would just be interested to see if a 330 can would work as well as a 440. And I don't know what you feel, James, like being in sales, if there's a market for that, or if people would just turn their nose up to the 330s.
Do you know what, Alex? A couple of years ago, there was a stout producer. I can't remember who it was, but they did these cans. They were 250ml cans. They were the same Same width as that, but they were about that tall, and it was a coffee stout, and I wish I could remember who the brewer was. Maybe someone American, and I thought, someone's read my mind. I've got an imperial stout, and it's a 250ml can, so it's a stubby can, same width, but and I ended up buying one. It was a delicious stout. And I thought, why aren't we doing that with big beers? Irrespective, there's these laws on responsible drinking, and what are we doing? We're packaging strong beer in bigger cans. I mean, they are packaging 500ml, and Arbor's in pint fucking cans. Yeah. It's a quad. Imagine Arbor did a quad. So, yeah, I thought this was a godsend. I thought, why aren't we doing stronger beers in smaller cans? So I'm completely with you on that, Alex. Why aren't we doing stronger beer in smaller cans?
Tiny tippers, man. That could be the way forward.
Yeah, like a 4% beer, like your Arbor Pales in those pint cans, fucking amazing. Because you get to where you normally be finishing your can, you're like, I've still got beer left. You're a dancer. That was you get to about 440. There's another half a glass in there. You're like, you're fucking, So I don't know why we're insisting, and it's an assistant. We do it as a brand, but 440ml cans, 11%. Good night. That's me ready for bed. And surely you want people to drink more than a couple of cans each night. You want them to enjoy your evening and ace it, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, that's it. I think from I guess just from my point of view, I think if you look at your probably average tipper, you're probably talking in the region of minimum £8 plus. And if you bring that down to like a 330, if not smaller can, I think it'll be possibly more appealing. But then people look at that and say £5 for like a handful of beer. But then you'd go to a tap room and you'd get this in probably a third pint. Most tap rooms would sell anything over 8% and probably a third. So we'd be willing to pay £6-7 for a third in a tap room. So why would we not be willing to do that in a can? I guess just I'm going completely. I've got my business head on here, just questioning like customer logic, and I just find it quite interesting. Not really a question there, just me rambling away.
I guess it's a point. I mean, how many people are kegging their triples just now? I mean, I don't know how many brewers are saying, right, let's take this triple IPA, let's stick it in 20-litre key kegs, and let's put it to the market, because we're not doing it, and I don't think we will. There's been talk about doing it for Hop City, and I'm cautious, because I mean, how many of them are we gonna sell into the market? People are. I mean, in Glasgow, you're quite limited to how many bars can buy a triple IPA and are willing to pay. I don't know what the price would be, but paying for a triple IPA in a 20-litre key keg, there's only a certain few bars that will be able to have a range to do that. So I mean, I guess that's a different question as to how many people actually package triples into 20-litre kegs. I don't know.
Yeah, that's very fair point. I hadn't thought about that, to be honest. Like, what's the average punter going to buy? Well, not even the average punter. What are people going to be able to sell? And what are they going to be selling? They want to be selling the best beer at the time. You don't want a triple sat for 4 or 5 weeks in a keg, because it's just not going to be the same, is it?
Yeah. And it's the same people. Who's going to drink it? Well, probably us lot, actually. We've had a couple, it'll be like, just use 4 of them. Fucking right. I'd definitely drink it. I don't know who else would. I think there'd probably be people like, check them out drinking that triple IPA. They'll be spewing outside on the way up the road. I don't know.
That's it. I mean, that's it, isn't it? I feel like the higher you go up the percentage, the smaller your market gets to an extent, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know, even within, I don't know if you want to call it the Instagram craft beer world, even in there, not everyone on that platform's smashing quads or triples is probably as much as, you know, as say we do, but it's probably a hard one to judge, especially if you're talking about, you know, beer festivals and that. Who's going to want, like, because realistically, if someone comes to Overtone stand first, who's going to hit up a triple for the first, you know, like what we were saying before, for the first beer of the, well, probably me, but for the first beer of the day.
What, only a triple?
When's your quad coming out?
One question I did want to ask, just obviously with you being on the kind of on the sales side, is, and obviously the big news in the craft beer world over the past week or couple of weeks has been the fact that a brewery that I won't mention the name of, but everyone will know anyway, has gone into a supermarket. So what supermarket craft, I think, has got its place 100%, because, you know, I was talking to David about this the other day, actually, is when I first got into craft, I didn't walk into a bottle shop the first time I bought some craft beer that wasn't on tap or whatever. I was probably got it out of a supermarket. So, but then you move into bottle shops and stuff, don't you? So supermarket craft, what's your view on it? But also, is it a help or a hindrance to kind of to your, not your brewery, but, you know, breweries like yourself?
Obviously we're talking about Cloudy, right? Bulk City have also went into Tesco, as I'm sure you know, and I don't know. I went to my local Tesco, didn't have any. With respect to Bulk City, I mean, I'm not sure where I sit on it. I like Cloudwater as a brewery. I was with the fanboys. I believed that they were the best brewery in the United Kingdom for a long time. They set an extremely high standard for everyone to follow. I believe that mantle was taken up by Daya and Verdant, and I believe that Daya and Verdant still have that mantle. I think Cloudwater have diversified and become different, and when I don't know, you know, I don't know if people watch the podcast, so I don't want to like piss anyone off. I don't want someone hunting me down in that on Instagram like that's that, you know. But in the same sense, you kind of need to be able to voice your opinion. I respect what Cloudwater have done. I mean, it's been brewed at Brewdog, isn't it?
Yeah, apparently,
Yeah.
So immediately, when I factor that, and enough respect to Brewdog, like they're the big dogs, you know, they're the big guys. But if you're producing that beer for small guys, but you're using one of the big guys to produce that, there's a whole trail of shite that links all this together that doesn't make any sense to me. Will I stop buying Cloudwater beer? No.
yeah.
I love it. Do I supply a lot of bottle shops that are pissed off with them? Yeah. And they are. And I guess that's kind of that's without sitting on the fence quite a lot. That's exactly what I'm doing.
No,
does that answer the question, or is that?
I mean, you know what it is. To be fair, it's a hard question, and I know it is. And if I'm gonna be totally honest, it wasn't even me that thought of it. It was someone on Instagram wanted to know. So we can
Give them a shout out so you can at least get back to them.
If I'm being honest, I didn't know that Cloudwater had gone into a supermarket, but it almost, so for me, I had a lot of respect for Cloudwater until literally about 2 minutes ago, because they and I'm willing just to go out and say it. I've said a lot of things about Cloudwater, like, yes, they are an unreal brewery. Yes, they're far too expensive for what they produce. but also I was really impressed that I bought 2 beers from the little bottle shop, literally 50 yards around the corner, and they said you could only buy this beer in the independent brewery, independent bottle shop. So for me, that is just like, well, here's a brick through the window, because we're going to go and now like supply the biggest like supermarket in the world, in the country. So you're basically taking some of that. If you're a Cloudwater fan and then all of a sudden you see it in a supermarket, you're like, well, I don't need to go to that corner shop anymore. So it's a bit of like, well, you can't back these corner shops by selling these independent beers and then go and do that. It completely contradicts like their whole methodology, or their whole what's the word I'm looking for? Like the whole sentiment.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. But I still think that they have a place as one of the pioneers of the United Kingdom brewing scene. I think in the last 12 months, they've probably went back to almost being the best brewer in the United Kingdom again. I thought the quality of beer in the last 12 months has been phenomenal. And you know, the 2 years prior to that, I think they lost their way a little bit and they started doing weird shit. But fuck, their doubles and triples at the tail end of last year were drop dead gorgeous. Like, they were fucking amazing. So for them then to do this, it leaves a bit of a sour taste for me. I won't stop buying a beer. I mean, I went straight to Tesco last Friday and I bought one of those beers, and it was a 5% dry hopped, maybe even double dry hop pale ale, and on the can there was no mention of hops, no mention of yeast, and no mention of malt. It was just, we're going to use some hops to make this beer for Tesco, and it's going to cost £3. And I was like, a bit fucking boring, innit? And I put it in the fridge, I put it in the freezer because it was obviously on the shelf and it wasn't refrigerated. And that's a point I didn't get across, is I drank it, you know, it was probably released in the supermarkets last week, probably last Monday or Tuesday. I bought that on a Friday and I drank it. Fucking delicious. It was spot on. In 3 weeks' time, or in 3 months' time, is that same beer gonna be delicious? Is it? Fuck. And that's my point, is that the condition of that product is not going to be the same over a set period of time. And if you're talking about one of the purveyors of quality in the United Kingdom, you know, that there's, again, Alex, just like what you said, it's a contradiction. And don't get me wrong, the whole local business, local bottle shop, I think that's a disgrace. But as long as they can separate their product range, and this is for Tesco and this isn't, then I can see why you make that distinction, and it's all right. But not specifying that this product should be chilled.
Yeah.
I mean, you all know how important it is to chill a beer and hop degradation. Fucking hell.
I think there's so many angles you can kind of look at it, and it depends what kind of brewery you're going to do it. If you're focusing on Cloudwater, if you're focusing on, say, Vault City on the flip side, Vault City are a sour beer company, and there's only a small proportion of people that know what a sour beer is, and it is the craft beer community. A sour beer to other people would be like, I've had a shit pint at the pub, it was awful, I took it back. But it was probably meant to be a sour beer, but no one told them.
Yeah.
So there's probably, on the educational point, and for Vault City on the potential longevity of what they can do, it's good. And the potential of Cloudwater could be something that might be a little bit tarnishing on their reputation of being brilliant producers of beer, because someone might go, you know what, I'm going to actually give it a go. My mate's been harping on about this. Picks a can off the shelf and goes, drinks it at home. It's warm. It's had hop degradation or whatever, and it doesn't taste what it's meant to taste like. And they'll be like, you know what, I don't really want to bother. And that's the craft beer world missing out on. It could be one person, could be tens of thousands of people. You know what I mean? So it's a hard one to kind of pin down on what is right and wrong. And there's, like I say, there's so many angles you could come at it. But I think Tesco need to, if they're gonna do more stuff like that, they need to really look into the local things and take away from the local community that it doesn't really need to be with them. They make enough money anyway. I mean, they did put a hand out the other week in quite a lot of stores locally, well, in England basically, because I know you guys don't have your pubs open yet, but they said pretty much, you're welcome to come in and buy booze from us, but don't go to your local pub or local bottle shop and spend money there because they've had a tough time, which is nice. And it's a nice little gesture. It'll probably last a week, and it's been put on Instagram and everyone went, oh, fantastic. But you're also then again going to take another step forward and contradict yourself by, again, taking on Cloudwater and really pushing on, which doesn't quite bode well with quite a lot of people. I feel. I think we're probably all in the same kind of agreements that we're not massive fans of what's really happened, but kind of, I don't know, do we just sit back and say, yeah, it's fine, we've done, or do we spend another 10 quid at a local shop?
Yeah, you can compare it to when Beaver Town were taken over by Heineken and that sort of thing. So I guess one thing for me on Vault City doing it is, without trying to go down a rabbit hole, I think we've already well down this rabbit hole, is that Vault City have released 2 beers to Tesco.
Yeah.
I don't know what Cloudwater have done, but I quite respect that Vault City is still going to stick to their initial kind of their whole principle of, we're going to release 3 beers every 2 weeks. We're going to have a session, silly and serious. So, and I think they're sticking to their guns in that, and fair play to them for pushing out. I probably sound like I'm contradicting myself and completely just stating what I said, but like going back on what I said before. But yeah, I think it's a very interesting debate, and we could probably have a whole podcast on its own for that. So yeah, we mentioned two breweries there for probably about 20 minutes without mentioning Overtone, so
yeah,
quite bad.
We should bring it back, I suppose.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Guys, we've got some quick fire questions to sling James's way, but have you guys got anything else you want to talk about first, or?
Yeah, I'm good, man.
No? All right, James, so obviously we asked before, because it kind of flowed in the conversation, what your favourite Overtone beer was, and we've literally just said that we're going to talk about Overtone, but what's your favourite non-Overtone beer?
Don't say Cloudwater, that's Tesco one. We'll get back into it.
It was good, by the way. It was good. My favourite non-Overtone beer. Do you know? Probably it needs to be a staple brew. So probably something like Pilsner Urquell or a Hofbrau Weiss beer. You know, I think all the hoppy stuff's rotational. I mean, don't get me wrong, like. There's certain beers that you keep coming back to, but I mean, I could drink a Pilsner Urquell at any time of the day. Yeah. Sorry, I'm not an alcoholic, but like it's one of those beers that you just love. It's light. It's just Pilsner anywhere. But yeah, it's probably my favorite beer outside of what we do.
Cool. One beer or one style, whichever's easier for you to answer. For that's all you could drink going forward. I'm assuming you're going to say Pilsner again. What would you answer?
One beer or one style.
If you know the beer, that would be even better. But if you can't think of particular beer, what style? Yeah.
Tip better put you to bed.
Question, like, I mean, it's fucking cryptic writer wrote these. Probably a hazy pale ale, so call it a double dry hop pale at about 6%. I think that's the sweet spot. Yeah.
Cool. If you could pick one brewery for Overtone to collab with, who would it be?
Oh, Cantillon.
Nice.
I know that doesn't make any sense, but they're my favourite brewery.
Yeah.
And I've been there, and they're just, I don't know, it would be like some fucking weird bastard of a child, but it would probably be delicious. So yeah, only Cantillon, because I mean, don't get me wrong, Verdant. If you want a proper answer, Verdant. They've been my favourite brewery for a long time. Verdant, but Cantillon.
Yeah.
Both. Can I take both?
Yeah. 3-way. And finally, I'll let one of you two lads ask this one because you like asking it. So go on then.
Alan Hodge, I know you love asking this one.
Yeah. What's your favourite meal deal?
Oh,
this is where he's going to cut out. He's back. He's back, is he? Come on,
when you're talking meal, you're talking like McDonald's or that? Like,
you can take it wherever you want.
If you had to buy your lunch at work, what would you get from where?
Oh, like a fucking big bucket of Kentucky Fried Chicken. Finger licking good, mate. That yeah. and then whenever you think you're full, just wait a couple of hours, back to the cold bucket.
So we've had someone say KFC and a big bucket, and then one of the best ones was a large McDonald's meal, Big Mac with a side of 6 chicken nuggets. So you're on the same kind of wavelength. Such a good question. You learn so much about people, man. It's class.
I'm so good. It wasn't even us that thought of this question.
Yeah, I know.
Someone asked it on Instagram for us to ask. I can't remember which podcast the first time we asked it was, but we've just kept it in going forward because you get some cracking answers, don't you? No, that's awesome. James, you've been absolutely fucking amazing, mate. Thank you so much for giving up your evening to spend it with us three pissheads and talk everything beer related. It's been an absolute pleasure, man. We really appreciate it. Oh, I didn't say that now.
Probably have.
Has he gone?
I'll dub it in. Thank you very much, pals, for having us on. It's been great. It's been amazing. My internet's not been great. Buy Overtone, the great. Fight off me. I get kudos from work too. So, aye, cheers.
David, he's gonna kick your fucking head in.
You're no longer welcome in Glasgow.
I was just about to say you're welcome to come any time. We'll take you out, but probably not after that.
No, we'll be up for some beers. Like whenever we'll get some tap takeovers organised and get hopefully a bit of a tour later on in the year where we can actually get out and meet people and drink beer and that's it's definitely part of what we want to do later in the year. Yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
Absolute pleasure being on.
Say it again.
I say an absolute pleasure being on the show.
Yeah. Thank you very much, man. It's been
Thank you
really good.
Very much.
Yeah, welcome anytime. Thanks everyone for listening as always as well. Cheers, guys.